So it's been a long time. A lot of things have happened in football, and well, I went to my barber like yesterday. I told him in English, there's if you split the word manage, it comes down to man and age. So make me look like an aging man. And if you're not a football fan, then you won't get this. And if you're a football fan and you don't get this, damn, you need something. Yeah. So let's get started. There's a lot of things that have happened, but today we're going to focus on the Champions League because Wednesday is going to be a very difficult night for a lot of clubs. But the most important fixture out of all of them, it's going to be this one. Yes. Why this? Because these two teams, even if they like there's a tie between them, it's going to be very difficult for them to like both of them qualify in the top 8. But in case one loses and one wins, the other one just automatically gets out of the question. There's going to be a lot of number of teams that are going to fight for the top 8 spot apart from Arsenal. Man, they've done a pretty good job. 7 wins, top class stuff. But I think it is going to be very interesting. Depending upon the results of a lot of games, the table is going to change in every moment, and all the games are going to be played at the same time. So the coaches, the staff, everybody will be very eager to know what's the situation in the other games as well. So I'm very eagerly waiting for the matchups on Wednesday, and I think it'll be very interesting because things can go down to the fact that their teams end up getting into the top 8 because of the higher goal difference. And we are definitely going to see a lot of this because there are now 7 teams who are tied on 13 points at the moment. And they are all separated by just goal difference. And coming on to the last match day, apart from Arsenal, nobody's guaranteed a top 8 top 8 spot. So it's going to be very interesting, and I'm going to talk about a few things regarding my club, of course. We are without Pedri and De Jong for the final match day, and we play Copenhagen. I know that you guys might be thinking, oh, they're going to just walk over them, but we've seen how we are struggling defensively in set pieces, and it is going to be very difficult because we are without our two main midfielders. So if we don't score at least outscore them by at least 3 goals, I think it's going to be very difficult for us to get into the top 8 spot, which is what we're looking for, which is what Hansi Flick has been saying for a long period of time now. And I think apart from that, in terms of how the club is going at the moment, we definitely need improvements in terms of the fullbacks because both of them have been completely out of form for a long period of time, and I would suggest that they have been out of form throughout the season. And you see they are getting the chances because there's no solid backup, and Flick doesn't even know that if Cancelo can fill that gap and probably give them a competition properly. So now I think Cancelo's signing could be effective because if he performs well, he'll push the other two players who know that their spot is completely fixed and they are not like irreplaceable. So they'll have that danger of fighting for that spot. That is fair. That is going to be very crucial because Balde has been lacking in terms of offensive abilities. He's lacking in terms of making the darting runs he was making in the last season, and I think everybody has noticed this. It's due to the very it's due to the collective competency up front that we are being able to cover the mistakes of the fullbacks, the centre backs, the entire defensive system that has been at complete loss throughout the season. We haven't been able to defend set pieces properly. We haven't been able to make that offside trap work very effectively, which has been a bit better after the winter break. But I think there's a lot of improvements that needs to be done, and definitely Laporta needs to work on the defensive line as a whole. We need solid players at the back because I'm not going to be saying like we are afraid to face Arsenal, but damn, if that team faces us, they're going to kill us in the set pieces. If they have five corners against us, they're going to score at least four. That is the situation, and I'm very worried because Champions League is different from La Liga. You don't get a second chance. If you slip up in La Liga, you can make it up by winning games. But here, if you slip up, last season we saw everybody saw what happened in Milan. We played a very good knockout game there in San Siro, but ultimately we were knocked out because of our defensive frailties. And it could be a repeat. And Flick doesn't care about it. Flick just knows one thing, that is to outscore your opponents. But with the backline that we have currently, I'm I'm still not sure that we'll be able to go all the way in the Champions League. Offensively, yes, we are. I can say we are the best team in the world still, but defensively, it makes the team weaker, and you don't want your team to be weaker at this point of the season where everybody needs to step up, everybody needs to be at the best of their game, and playing without Pedri for a 1 month is going to be a huge loss. He's going to miss the Copa del Rey quarterfinal as well. And if we miss out on the playoffs, if we miss out on the top eight spot, he's going to miss the playoff as well. So uh, we are in a bit of a mess, to be honest. But I'm not going to be focusing a lot on Barcelona, although I have already. But let's talk about Real Madrid on the other side. They scored like 6 goals past Monaco last week, and there's some changes that have worked pretty well. Like Rodrigo he was not fit, and Mastantuano. There's one positive when Mastantuano in full flow pace plays for Madrid. The pressing is better. The team presses better collectively. They hunt in packs, and even though Mbappe is not going to track back a lot of times, Mastantuono is one player who makes up for the pressing, makes up for Kylian's lack of pressing, and that is a very huge bonus for them, to be honest. And they need players who are very hungry for the ball, which they have been lacking. And moving to other teams, of course, we're going to be talking about the top team at the moment, the defending champions of the Champions League, PSG. They could be again playing the playoffs just like they did last year, eventually going out to be the winners. They can play the playoffs because if they don't beat Newcastle, it's going to be difficult for them to finish in the top eight spot. And I think Newcastle have been pretty good recently in the Champions League. But the surprise packages, you're looking at Tottenham sitting in the top four in the Champions League. Well, man, that's surprising, don't you think? Because the team which is again fighting against a relegation, they are fighting. They're not even fighting. They've gone like 3 or 4 games with clean sheets in the Champions League. I don't know how. What's their plan? Maybe to win the Champions League and automatic qualification again. But I think a lot of teams have failed to perform at their best in the Champions League, which has resulted in them being in a dire situation, just like Manchester City as well. Their defeat against Bodo last week, it was completely uncalled for, and I think but Bodo were great. Bodo was great, and they played some very good football against City. I think this week could be very instrumental. But my prediction is Arsenal at the top, Madrid qualifies, Barcelona qualifies as a top eight. Um, Liverpool qualifies in the top eight. PSG make it through. Inter go through, and the rest two teams I'm a bit. If City can manage, I think City will go through. And the last team. What do I put? I'll give Tottenham the nod. So there's our 8 teams. We're going to be in the top eight. Let's see if I get things right. Who knows? See you in the next video.